Okay, how are you today? ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien. Sí, bien. Bueno. Yeah, we try. Oh, sí, sí. Sí. That's the easiest one. Okay, so do you have any question before we start? So this is gonna be our second lecture, and we'll go to the second chapter. We're gonna try to, finish maybe some of this chapter today, and then we'll continue it again tomorrow. Okay. Now, evolution. Everybody know what is evolution, right? Now, mostly we're gonna talk about the process of evolution in this chapter, how this evolution actually happening, and then we are gonna also learn a little bit about some of the maybe scientists or naturalists that studied about this evolution. Okay, so we're gonna use this as our lecture today, which is your PowerPoint. I already sent this PowerPoint to you. So we're gonna discuss this, right? Chapter 2 of this evolution. And then we're gonna learn a little bit about some scientists or naturalists that studied about evolution. Now, in another, I believe also in the assignment, the first assignment, it also mentions about the father of Darwin. Anybody know what is the name of his father? Erasmus Darwin. Erasmus or Erasmus Darwin. He was the one that actually had the idea that life changed. That life changed. So maybe this idea he taught it to his son, right? Charles Darwin, and Charles then have this. Oh, maybe it is true. Right? Life is actually changing. Therefore, when Darwin has the opportunity to go to explore to other places, especially they explore to many places, tropical area, and then finally they stop for a long time in islands. Anybody know what is the islands that Darwin mostly studied? Galapagos. Where it is located now? Ecuador. The Ecuador. We actually have planned to go to Ecuador for the Kiis study because it's a nice place to study evolution. Try to imitate what Darwin did at that time when he was sleeping. What he's doing, he's thinking about so many animals. Mostly, he studied about animals. That's so intrigued, so amazing, so wonderful. So that's why he kind of studied this evolution and have the idea about what his idea about the force for evolution. Natural selection is coming from what he actually learns in this island. Again, Erasmus Darwin was the person that maybe give the idea to Darwin that life change and how change does up to Darwin at that time. He actually had that, logic thinking about how the life changed. Now, before we go that, okay, previously, everybody, I believe, know the how you said, Aristotle. Aristotle. He was a famous, mostly philosophist. He's a philosopher. So Aristotle, this is before Christ, okay, about 350 years before Christ. So this great philosopher is actually think that individual in species, just like us over here, okay, are basically identical. We are the same. Yes, we were the same in some characteristic, right? Identical, and species are unchanging. Okay, so Aristotle is a great philosopher, but he thinks or he thought that life is just every day is the same. I mean, there is no changing. Now, if you think that, what do you think? Is this logical or is true, or you think it's not true? If life is actually stay the same all the time, it's not true. It is changing, especially in this modern time. Maybe on the old time, it's very long time to change the condition. But in the very modern time like this one, life changing vastly. Even you can see the environment, the place where you live. What? Maybe before that, maybe just land, farm, and now it's become what? Become city, a lot of buildings, a lot of pollution, and etc. So it's changing. It's also changed the how the people behave, changing our behavior. Which one do you think is more nice? In general, people that live in city, the big city, or in the village? Which one is mostly nicer? You say hi, hello, right? It's changing. They also used to be living in the village. They used to be type of people that very nice, saying good morning, how are you? Now they live in the city. What happened with their behavior? They're changing. Why? It is adaptation. That's the way they adapt in the city life. You guys, man? So they have a very busy schedule, right? Even they don't really care about themselves, right? They just work and work and work and work, and suddenly they get illness, they get sickness, okay, because there's so many stress, etc. Can you see that one? I just try to make connection between whether life changing or not. Maybe in short period of time, sometimes it's a long period of time. If it is long period of time, it's become what we call the gradual change for a long period of time. What you call it? What is the general name for gradual change for a longer period of time? No, this is our class. What is it? Evolution. Evolution. Maybe short or maybe long. So, but Aristotle's thought that life is just the same. There is no changing. It's not, everybody the same. This year, next year is gonna be the same. Humans gonna be the same. Dogs gonna be the same. Maybe during his time there is no dogs breeds, right? So the dog is just the same. No. After that, Buffons, he had the idea that species change. There is a change. Okay, but he did not have the ability to prove that changing. He did that. He said that the species change through generation. Earth probably very very old. Eh, what do you think of this? Yes or no? Yes, Earth is very old and life changing. Yeah, life changing, and he did had that idea. And then Hutton change in nature are gradual. Uniformalianism. So this again, these two guys have the idea of life changing. This is kind of the thought about this evolution. No, we go to the Lamarck. We already talked about Jean Jean Baptiste Lamarck. He's from France. What he thinks, life changing or not? Yes. But the way he also proposed that the force of life changing or evolution is through the natural selection. However, he said that acquired characteristic. What does acquired characteristic mean? It's not inheritable. What is acquired characteristic?
That individuals evolve and adapt, and then pass that on instead of just populations evolving.
Like collective.
Like they can do things to change.
Yeah, that's what we call acquired. Acquired means characteristic that you have it after you have born. Like for example, when you born, you don't have big muscle, right? Eh? But if you practice, do exercise like the bodybuilder, eh? Then what happened with your muscle? Become bigger. This is what we call the acquired, something that you acquire through a process, maybe exercise. Eh? That's the acquired. So he said that this acquired characteristic will be inherited to their generation, offspring. It is. Do you think? What do you think? Is it logical or this is true or not? It's not really true. Maybe some, but it's not that. That's not that fast, right? Bodybuilder have a baby bodybuilder too. No, maybe during generations, when they have a baby, many baby, for example, some of them have a bigger muscle, some of those is very, the one that have bigger muscle maybe the one that, adapted more to the environment, and then, his family now, through the generation, has a bigger muscle a little bit. You see that one? Maybe change a little, but it's not that sudden change that he proposed in this natural selection theory, in his natural selection theory. Can you follow this? What Lamarck do? Why it's not really logical? Because it is not. It's the same like, for example, if somebody go to the war and then lost his leg, for example, that's acquired too, right? That's acquired characteristic. Do you think he will get all his children without legs? It is not, right? Can you follow this? Something that acquired, it cannot be really just inherited like that. So that's Lamarck theory in natural selection, which is not. Then Lyle, change and nature gradually renews uniformalitarianism. I mean, he's the same. Yeah, that's that life has changed also. And then all of this idea then is carried by Darwin. Darwin. So he's the father of evolution. Again, he's carried with him when he studied about difference or biodiversity in the Galapagos Island. Then he proposed the natural selections, the evolution, the adaptation, and also speciation. Can you follow that? Okay, so evolution, adaptation, natural selection, and speciation. That's connected, one another. Yeah. This is Darwin. Yeah. When he in this exploration, he was actually still very young. You know what was his age when he was on that exploration? 22. 22, which is really young. How old are you? 22. So no, you is the same now. You have the exploration in Costa Rica. Yeah, you become the next Darwin. Yeah, right. Still very young. During this exploration, 22 years old, and he landed in this Galapagos Islands. Okay, with the the name of the ship. Can you read it? What is the name of the ship? HMS Beagle. Oh, you have it in your. Okay, wonderful. Hey, HMS Beagle, right? He studied there in Galapagos Island, stayed there for a while. We already learned it one, right? The difference between Lamarck and Darwin natural selection. Again, the more logical explanation will be from Darwin, because Darwin say what? Within the population there is varieties, and that varieties, which is characteristic, can be inherited to their offspring, to their children. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the postulate. This is the theory that Darwin mentions about the natural selection. Eh? The middle one should be actually number one. Okay, I think this is from the book, from the textbook. So I would rather to put the middle one over there on the top as number one, because what this is that follow the next step. What is the first step? What is the first postulate? Characteristic of offspring vary, and these variations are inheritable. It means that within us, okay, which is the population, there are varieties. There are varieties in characteristic. Let's right now use a human. It's easy example, right? Between you and me and all of you over here, we are not the same, right? You are not the same. You have this good, this good. Okay. You have the hair is different, right? Your hair is really curly, right? Your hair is really straight. What is that? That's characteristic. That's varieties, varies in characteristic. And this characteristic, then what happened is say heritable, inheritable. It means that your curly hair will be heritable to your son or your daughter, right? Will you get married? No, okay. Okay. The same thing with your hair. But maybe if you married with curly hair, your son or your daughter maybe have the kind of intermediate characters. You see that one? Yeah. You get this one? Yeah. No. That's the first postulate. And it is true or not?
True.
True. It's really easy to see, right? It's really easy to see. Yes, it is true. This postulate is true. What is the second postulate? I'm gonna put number one now become number two. Most characteristics are heritable. We already talked about this one. And then pass from parent to the offspring, which is yes. It's going to be actually number one and two is kind of similar. Even though you say the three postulates, they all together. Now the last one. What does the last one say?
More offspring are produced that can survive, and there is competition for resources.
Is logical or not?
Yes.
Yes. Especially in the old time, when we talk about people, they have more kids. Why?
So more can survive.
More
Or
can
more
survive.
can take care of them too.
There's them two. Survivals, taking care, competition. Okay, in the old time. But in this modern time, some people don't want to have the kids, and it is happening, especially in developed country or developing country, where the peoples, don't want to have a lot of kids. Which countries?
US.
Yeah, develop or developing? Developed country. Yeah, the like in Europe's most like Italy, for example. Now, what happened with their population? I just want to. What happened with the white people population? I should mention the white people populations in Europe, because this is actually the population that don't really want to have a offspring or babies. Eh? What happened with their population? Shrinking or shrinking. So even in some country, in European country, they have negative growth on their population. You can imagine if they do not have immigration, what happened with their people? Become less and less and less. So most of the immigrants in European country, they actually the one that have more babies, the one that actually cannot keep the population stable on that area. But mostly, some country they have negative growth on their population. United States is still okay, because I think it's 2.1 is still above 2.0 growth is actually kind of the limit. If you are under 2, then it's going down. But if you still over 2, you are. Some African country, they even have more than 3. You can imagine that. What happened with them? Growing very fast. Anybody know what is the most populated country right now?
India.
India. It used to be what?
China.
Why? Why not India become number one? You see what happened with China a long time, several years ago?
Yeah, the one child.
One child, one family. and that's the result. But maybe good for them. I don't know. Okay, but no. How about the India? They don't have that one child, one family. Now India is number one. Before is China. But there is another country in Africa, I think it's Nigeria, that is really fast. No, maybe sometime it's climbing up to, it's not number three, or maybe even number two, maybe. I don't know. But it's very fast. Okay, right now, India, number one. What is number two? Nigeria, what is number three? What is number three? No.
Is it in Latin America?
Yes, United States. Number three. How about number four?
Indonesia.
Indonesia number four. But again, what is number five? I think it's Nigeria, Pakistan, Bangladesh is over there. But maybe Nigeria will climb up because they are very, very fast. In our country, Indonesia, we also have the what we call the planning. Family planning, even though it's not extreme as China, but we also have that kind of planning. So some people, they limit their children. Okay, not too many. Okay, okay, you get this idea. So that's the more offspring produce. Again, why competition? And this is happening. This is true for most of the organisms in nature. It doesn't really matter whether plants or animal. They always try to produce more offspring. For what? Competition, survival. Otherwise, if they only have one, for example, then it is gone. It is gone. There are actually two types of organism based on their offspring production. The first one is called the K type of population. This is usually big animal. Okay, they usually have more babies or less babies. If it is big animal, less, but they are really taking care of their baby. See that one? What is example? The animal that have less baby, and then you cannot really touch the baby. If you touch the baby, you die. Like a bear, elephant, what? Human, some of them, mother bear. Yeah, yeah. So human also in K type of organism. There is a second type of organism called the R type organism. This is the organism that produce a lot of babies, but they don't really care. They just produce it. It's up to the babies. Okay, anybody have example of this? Ants,
Chicken.
chicken maybe. How about pigs? Pigs. How about rat, mouse, roaches, plants? They just produce it. It's up to them. Why? Because that's the way they compete. Just produce as many as possible, but each of this baby will, on their own. But the K type of organism, they produce less babies or offspring, but they really taking care of their baby. Therefore, survival will be gonna, same with the one that have a lot. Mostly at the first year, maybe half of the population will actually die. But they still have half that will be survive. Can you follow this? So that's the three postulates of Darwin, and it is true. This is actually the one that I think that's happening in this nature. Now, next, in this island, Darwin spends a lot of time with bird population. He also spent a time with the tortoise population, but mostly he is kind of observing the bird. Whoa, that's the bird, a lot of them. And then he noticed the bird is kind of similar, but when he go closely, he noticed that there's a difference within the beak morphology. There are some birds that have longer beak. There are some birds that have very thick and short beak. And then he observed, he noticed, oh, the one that have short beak usually eating hard type of food. Maybe, the seed, he cracking the seed with this strong, short beak. The one that is longer, but mostly on the top of the trees, kind of eating some nectar or, kind of thing. The one is not really neat, hard, and the strong beak. So he noticed that. Can you follow this? And he noticed that actually that bird are the same. They are almost the same population, very similar. He said that, oh, maybe this bird, the ancestor used to be the same, coming from the mainland, from the South America land. I don't know, maybe from Brazil, Ecuador, what country crossed it? Colombia, I think it's close to, Chile, that's close to the Galapagos Island too. Even actually Costa Rica is kind of also close. Right? So he kind of have a thinking, yes, maybe there is a group of bird which is the same species. It's not only one. Remember, Darwin said that the natural selection, the evolution is not working in one individual organism. It's population. So this population of bird, which is the same species with different varieties, okay, maybe a little bit short, long, big, come to the Galapagos Island. This is what we call what? Common ancestor. Okay, what is common ancestor? The ancestor that will differentiate too many species. You get this one? So that's what his theory. So there is a ancestor bird. It's called the Finns. This is Finns bird, okay? That coming to Galapagos Island. And then after a long period of time, okay, the one that have longer beak, they usually separate it on the top of the tree. The one that have shorter beak gonna be going down a little bit to the ground and looking for, hardest type of material of food. This is again, what is this? This is again about what? Niche and habitat, right? So they can separate it themselves. Why? Remember again, there are no two organisms will have
Well,
the same needs. They might have the same habitat. Maybe the habitat the same, which is the tree, but they separating themselves into different role, different niche. Some on the top, some on the middle, and etc. Some maybe on the ground. Okay, that's the way they adapt. And finally, Darwin has a theory that after several years, there is a gradual change with this population, and then separating into different species. Now they have maybe about 6, 7 different finches species in this Galapagos Island. Okay, now it's become species. Anybody know what is the name of speciations that located within the same place, the same geographical area? Sympatric. Just remember, sim means same. Yeah, that's easy to remember, right? So if it is happening within the same geographical area, it's called a sympatric speciation. Example is this Galapagos finches. Okay. Now, what do you call the speciation within different geographical area? Allopatric. What is the easy example? If you notice, let's say, if you go to this rainforest in this South America, it's called the neotropical area. Okay, you notice monkey, right? He he mentioned about at least how many type of monkey? 4 type of monkey. Yeah. What is the first one? Howler. What is the second one?
spider pigeons,
White face capuchin. What is the next one? Spider monkey. What is the last one? No, yeah, man.
No.
I try to imitate a squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
What is the fourth one? Squirrel monkey. That's the type of monkey that usually you find it in the neotropical area, right? Now you go to Africa. Go to Africa. Is there any monkey?
Yes.
Will you see the white capuchin there?
No.
No. Okay, but still monkey, right? Will you see chimpanzee over there in Africa?
Those aren't monkeys.
In Africa.
Those aren't monkeys, but yeah.
And this okay, let's stop at this. That's okay. Maybe that's the wrong that's a wrong example. It's not really monkey. What they say ape. There's a difference between monkey and ape. What do you think the monkey that in Africa?
There are a lot of old world monkeys like mandrills.
Mandrills, the one that have big big nose, right? So they are different, right? But they are still monkey. And in the theory, it's mentioned that they maybe have the common ancestor, bro, this neotropical and old tropical area, but the land split. What do you call that splitting of the land? Continental drift. And then finally, what happened? These ones will evolve to form their own group of monkey, and this one, you see the mandrill? Yes, a big nose. And this one growing into their own group of monkey. Now, what you call that type of speciation? Allopatric over here, between here and here. But between this area is become sympatric, right? If it is the same close geographical area. Okay. Now, again, this is the Darwin's study with the finches. He also studied with Galapagos tortoise. And he noticed that there are two main type of tortoise in Galapagos. The first one is the one have a short neck. The second one is have a little bit long neck, just like giraffe. Okay. No, this is logical. Which one do you think will have long neck? Which one do you think have the short neck? So there's a two vegetation or two habitats, kind of habitats in the Galapagos Island. There are some habitats that have a lot of nice vegetation. It's easy for the tortoise to reach it. And there are some area that is really difficult to get the vegetation, the food. So which area do you think will be the place for long neck tortoise?
The harder one.
The hardest one, because they had to. Again, this is kind of Lamarck theory, but it is not just short period of time, it's after gradual. Again, it is based on actually their common ancestor also have variety in the neck long, or the neck size or length, right? So the short one will be mostly on the area that easy to get the food. So that's another story. He also study about iguana. Anybody know what's iguana? Is it amphibian or mammalian? It's reptile. Say itu. Try. None. It is a reptile. It is amphibian or mammalian? It is reptile. That's the correct answer. So he's also study the iguana. This is water. Okay, marine water iguana. Now, these two guys. Anybody know who are they? One is Darwin, and the other one is Alfred Wallace. These two scientists studied at the same time and have the same idea about natural selection, and they actually write the same kind of paper about natural selection. But the difference is here. Wallace studied in Indonesia. Indonesia has west part and eastern part. The western part, when he studied in the western part, he found out animals that very similar with the animal that live in the Asian continent. He found, for example, elephant. Yes, we have elephant in Indonesia, in the western part, especially now only in Sumatra Island. Used to be in Kalimantan or Borneo Island too, but now it's only located in one island. It's called Sumatra. It's called the Sumatra elephant. I ride on one of them before, and then you ride in the elephant. Usually the guide in the front, he actually ride on the neck. You get it? And he has this sharp, what do you call it? Sharp thing, because that's the way he actually tell the elephant to move. Just put on the sharp on the in the head of the then move there, move there. It's actually cruel, right? It's a cruel, but that's the way they make the elephant uh, follow them. So he sat on the neck. Right? Now I sat on the back. How big is elephant?
So big.
So big. So what happened if you sat on the back? What happened with your leg? Right. And then what happened if you do it for several hours when you step down from the
Your legs hurt.
it's really ow. This is just for information. Okay? This is for information. I got this one. I had that experience. Okay? I, I sit on the body of the elephant, and when I step down, oh man, it's really hurt over here. Okay, no elephant in Indonesia, in Sumatra elephant, which is similar with the elephant in the Asian continent. Okay, India, you see that? A lot of elephant. Thailand, they usually use elephant for walking too. The same. It's very similar. The ear is small, right? And then the body is like this. It's what is it? Curve up. You see that one? No, there is another elephant that live in another continent. Anybody know what is elephant? African elephant. They're actually different. Their ear is bigger, wider, and their body is this, like this. Asian elephant is like this. Can you see the difference, right? Okay. So this is kind of sympatric and allopatric. You see that one? Now, this is just for information. In western part of Indonesia, we have a lot of animal that's similar with the Asian continent. Tigers. We have tiger in Indonesia, and ASEAN have tigers too, right? What is this? Bengal. You Cincinnati. How many of you Cincinnati fans? They use Bengal, right? Bengal, which is not Cincinnati tiger. Bengals, right? Which is a tiger. Russia, they are also tiger, right? Big tiger in Russia. What do you call that tiger? Siberian tiger, right? Indian tiger. Thailand, they have tiger too. But you will not find this animal on the western part in the eastern part of Indonesia. There is no tiger, there is no elephant. But you see a lot of animal that very similar with Australia. The marsupial. Anybody still remember what is marsupial? What is marsupial?
They're non-placental mammals. So
Yes,
they have a pouch
they have pouch. They have a baby born, but it's not perfect yet, so they have to put it in the pouch. Like kangaroo, for example, koala, some other night animal. Have pouch. That's what marsupial. There are many marsupial in the eastern part of Indonesia, which is similar with the Australia. Do you know why? There is a very deep trends between Western Indonesia and Eastern Indonesia. And Wallace named this trend as his name. What you call that trends? Wallace line. It's a very deep trend. What does that mean actually? It's telling us it used to be the western part is part of Asian continent, and the eastern part is used to be the Australian continent. When it is a lot of water coming, okay, the trend is separating them. So a lot of islands on the western part is actually used to be part of Asian. A lot of islands in eastern part used to be part of the Australia. After the continental drift, they just making so many islands. Okay, can you follow this? Okay. Okay. What do you call that? The different places. It's called the biogeographical area, eastern part and western part. And again, is this telling us the common ancestor on the western part and the eastern part are very different. Okay, within this animal. That's including the plants too, because mostly people easier to study animal because it's really easy to see the difference between animal. But within the plant, sometimes you don't really. It's not that easy because plant they're all almost the same. What they have root, they have stem, they have buds, and they have leaf. But animal is easy to identify, to distinguish. Okay, so this Wallace and Darwin again study, evolution based on natural selection. Which one mostly study sympatric speciation? Which one mostly studied the allopatric speciation? Can you tell?
What is allopathic?
Allopatric, because West is different geographical area, and Darwin just study it within the same geographical area. Mostly, Darwin proposed the paper that talking about sympatric speciation, but Wallace with his line. Okay, so if you are scientist, you can name with your name. Okay, you're gonna name this room over here Hania's room. So Wallace, with his uh, allopatric species and study, he make his own straight line over there, and he write the papers about it, and then present it at the same time with Darwin in the what is the name of the society? Lineal. Linnaeus is coming from the Carolus Linnaeus because he was one of the famous scientists and naturalists, but he didn't believe the evolution anyway. Okay, so they presented in this society. Okay, now it's become big study. What time is it now? 10:32. Okay, maybe until this we're gonna, or maybe just stop there. I just want to ask, maybe anybody can give the comment or some things about what you visit last time on the Arenal volcano rainforest. What kind of animals or plant that you find it, and what kind of adaptation that you think they have? Yes.
Well, this wasn't during the volcano trip, but my host mom took me to my host dad's job, and I seen like a different species of leaf cutter ant.
Leaf cutter?
Bigger jaws, bigger head than the regular soldiers.
Oh, okay. It's okay. So what do you think about it? Why they have different
I
jaws?
think maybe because they're used for different purposes other than collecting leaves.
Okay. And the other for fighting
Yeah.
the soldier. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I don't know.
yeah, that's type of evolution, right? That's type of adaptation. How this, even though within the same species, that's the same species, right? But they have different role. They have different role within even the same population, and it is how they evolve. Right? So how many what you call, how many queen on that population?
Probably like maybe one.
Yeah, anybody? How many queen? I remember Mauricio talking about how many queen in each ant population, the leafcutter ant population. How many queen they have?
It depends on the size of the colony, but
No, I mean there is just one colony. They usually only have one. Mostly only have one. That's the rule. Right? One queen. And remember what he said? If the queen die, the whole colony dies. Because their purpose of this colony is actually to serve to serve the queen, which is very primitive. Really primitive, It's usually in the old time people also do like this, right? The tribe, what is their main purpose? To serve the king or therefore you see the what is the movie that usually always start with the squirrel that chasing the Ice Age? There is a population that's serving their king. They just follow the king. Okay, no, that's a good, very good observation. Anybody else have the observations? Yes.
Bright coloration was very prominent
Mhm.
in a bunch of different species. Like flowers tended to be really bright,
Mhm.
maybe to attract pollinators.
Oh, track poly. Okay, so he's talking about the structure, morphology, and then adaptation. Okay, let's go.
And I saw a lot of bugs that were also pretty brightly colored.
Mhm.
And I saw what I think was an assassin bug
Assassin.
that was very surprisingly bright.
Okay.
And the birds too. The birds were also very
Okay.
bright. Like there was one like with the sort of orange
Okay,
sort
coloring.
of underside.
Okay. What is the person for that? What's the purpose of having that different dichromatism, different colorations?
And birds, it's usually to help them sort of attract a mate.
Okay, so that's we mentioned about sacrificing. What is the name of the altruism? Right? Some male birds they sacrifice themselves for what? To be successfully growing their family. So usually they have a very bright color. Is for what? For attracting the female. When they're attracting the female, what happened? They're gonna have successful breeding and then babies. But this colorization is actually make them to be really easy target for the predator. But he has another purpose, which is successful offspring breeding. Even if you know about the spider, there are some spider, population spider that when the male mating, after the male mating, the female eat him. But he doesn't care. As long as he's able to mate with the girl, I mean the girl again, the female, that's fine. I mean, the female will carry his progeny, his babies, right? It's gonna be thousands of baby coming, but the female actually eat him right away. You see that one? That's you don't know. that's altruism, right? The sacrifice that he made to benefit other. In this case, actually benefit himself also because it's become benefit the population. Okay, that's good observation. How about you, Jonathan?
Yesterday we saw the snakes.
Snake.
And there's one that had eyes and it was longer.
Uh-huh.
And then there's one in the mud that was very slimy and it had no eyes.
Okay. So what do you think? What kind of why they have that?
The one in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
it lives like in underground.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't need the eyes because there's no light.
Okay.
It's slimy, so it can travel faster in the mud.
Okay. Okay. How about the other one? They have eyes because they need it. They live above the ground. Okay. They need it to see. Okay. Yeah. Just like bats, for example, where they live mostly in the dark place. Do you think they have a very good eyesight? The bat? No. What they develop now for adaptation instead of eyesight, they have a very good. No, it's not really smell. Hearing, echolocation. So whenever he or this bat flying, he's always producing the voice. What for? To locate themselves. You see, oh, this is the wall over here. Because he's using the ear instead of the eyes. They don't really need the eyes because mostly they stay in the dark place and they also out during the night. Okay, most of the bats like that. Echolocation. That's adaptation. How about you?
When we went to Volcano hike that day, I also saw snails, like small snails
Mhm.
on the bottom area, like they were in the grass
Mhm.
and on the ground, and they were light color, so they were small and light color, and they were a little bit hard to spot. Except I was once I found one, I
Okay,
wanted to
okay.
look for more,
Uh-huh.
and I would find them, and so I'm trying to say that I think their light color and small shape helps them hide from whatever their predators may
Okay.
be.
Okay.
And it's probably also like their whatever facilitates their movement.
Uh-huh.
it is also, I probably think, connected to their location in that
Okay.
forest because of how humid it is. I feel like that probably contributes to their ability to travel.
Okay, wonderful. What do you call type of adaptation that when some animals able to hide themselves from predator? Any special name for that? What you call it?
Cryptic camouflage.
Camouflage. So camouflage. Yeah, camouflage. Just a general name. But there is also another name. It's called the mimicry. So we're gonna learn about that. So the difference with what is camouflage, what is mimicry. We're gonna learn that later. But right now, that's a good observation that this, type of animal, they are camouflaging from the predator, and we're gonna learn what is camouflage in the next lecture time. Okay, I think we will stop here. Oh yeah, just for your information, we will decide that our final exam will be on June 18 instead of 19. So we just want to make sure we have time for final exam. And June 19, if we still have class, we're gonna use for our class reflection, kind of summary reflection kind of things, and the June 19. Get this one? So you have a good day. We're gonna meet again. Oh, you are not in my group. Group 1 will go to the clinic. Okay, we're gonna meet again here maybe 12:30. Okay. Okay. See you again later.